Superman is facing a lawsuit that could shake the entire DCU to its core. James Gunn's Superman legacy is up against its toughest opponent yet. Not Lex Luthor or Brainiac, but a legal battle that could cost Warner Bros. Millions. The estate of Joe Shuster is suing over rights to the character in key international markets. And this isn't just some Hollywood drama like the Ryan Reynolds-Blake Lively spat. This one has real teeth. Could this put the future of DC's entire reboot in jeopardy? We're breaking down everything you need to know about this shocking lawsuit and what it means for Superman's future. Superman is now up against an unexpected and formidable adversary, a major lawsuit. Reports suggest that the estate of Superman's original creators has filed legal action against James Gunn's upcoming Superman film, and this is no minor dispute. Unlike the legal drama involving Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, this lawsuit is far more serious, with substantial legal standing that could pose a real threat to Warner Bros. And Gunn's vision for the DC universe. At first glance, it almost feels like something out of a Lex Luthor master plan. Superman taking legal action against his own movie. Naturally, this raises a host of questions. What is the lawsuit about? How is the Superman estate able to challenge the film legally? And most importantly, what impact will this have on the movie's release? Unlike typical Hollywood disputes often centered around personal disagreements or vague contracts, this lawsuit is grounded in concrete legal agreements and specific language. That's why the case carries significant weight and a stronger chance of success in court. Despite the Warner Brothers actually hopes the movie succeeds at the box office. Why? Because the more revenue the film generates globally, the greater the potential financial compensation they can claim from either a court ruling or a settlement. Legal entanglements like this are not uncommon in Hollywood, especially for blockbuster franchises. Marvel, for example, has faced its own share of legal issues, including the high-profile lawsuit between Scarlett Johansson and Disney over Black Widow. Similarly, this isn't even the first time the Superman estate has taken legal action. They previously filed a lawsuit during Henry Cavill's tenure as the Man of Steel. So, will this lawsuit derail James Gunn's Superman reboot? The short answer is no. The film will still hit theaters as planned. However, the stakes are incredibly high for both Warner Bros. And Gunn, as the success of this film is crucial to the future of the newly established DCU. Gunn himself has acknowledged that if this reboot doesn't gain traction, the entire roadmap for DC's cinematic future could be forced into drastic changes or even scrapped entirely. This Superman film isn't just another installment, it's the foundation of DC's future. Whether it soars or stumbles will determine the trajectory of the entire franchise. The stakes for the Superman movie this year couldn't be higher. If this film doesn't perform well, it could derail James Gunn's entire vision for the DCU, and now, on top of the pressure for box office success, Warner Bros. Is facing a serious legal challenge. The lawsuit in question has been filed by the estate of Joe Shuster, one of Superman's original creators, and it directly targets Warner Bros. Over the rights to the character. This isn't the first time the estates of Superman's co-creators, Jerry Siegel and Warner Bros. And DC, for decades. Legal battles between comic book creators and major studios are nothing new. Marvel has disputes like Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow lawsuit, but also with comic book writers and artists suing over character rights. The estates of Siegel and Shuster have a long history of challenging DC and Warner Brothers, dating back to the 1970 when the Christopher Reeve Superman movie was being developed. At that time, both Siegel and Shuster were still alive and actively fighting for their rights. After their passing, their heirs took over, continuing the legal battles over Superman and Superboy. However, it's important to note that these lawsuits don't increase the potential financial compensation from settlements or court rulings. James Gunn even filmed part of the new Superman movie in Cleveland, where Siegel and Shuster first created the character. Their grandsons were reportedly excited about the project, even making a cameo in the film and presenting Gunn with a special edition comic to commemorate the occasion. Yet, despite this enthusiasm, the estate representing the broader family is still moving forward with legal action against Warner Brothers. This kind of internal division within creator estates is not uncommon. A similar situation exists with the Lord of the Rings and the Tolkien estate. While some members of the family support adaptations and new projects, others are more protective of the original works and their legal rights. This dynamic explains why Siegel and Shuster's grandsons might be thrilled about the Superman movie, while the estate itself is suing the studio for a massive financial contracts or seek additional compensation. The last major lawsuit over Superman and Superboy occurred during Henry Cavill's tenure, just before Zack Snyder's Man of Steel launched his iteration of the character. Now, history is repeating itself as Warner Bros. Once again faces legal trouble right before the release of another major Superman reboot. In the end, this lawsuit is unlikely to stop the film's release. This Superman film is crucial, not just for the studio's financial future, but for the entire DCU's trajectory. The legal battle over Superman has once again resurfaced, this time with Joe Shuster's estate claiming that Warner Brothers does not have the rights to distribute the new James Gunn Superman movie in certain international markets. This isn't just a minor dispute. These foreign territories represent a substantial portion of the global box office. Even though the lawsuit doesn't cover every country, the financial implications are massive, potentially affecting hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. This situation echoes the legal battle that unfolded back in 2013, just before the release of Man of Steel. At that time, the courts ruled in favor of Warner Brothers and DC due to a prior decision dating back to the Christopher Reeve Superman era. However, what makes this new lawsuit different and potentially more dangerous for Warner Brothers is that the Shuster estate is arguing that certain contractual rights tied to foreign distribution have now reverted share of the profits. If Warner Bros. Were to release the film in these disputed territories without resolving the legal battle, the estate could argue that the studio has profitable payout. This tactic is common in Hollywood. Legal disputes often escalate when there's a massive financial opportunity on the horizon. The estate is also banking on the idea that Warner Brothers might prefer to settle rather than risk the lawsuit overshadowing the film's release. While hardcore comic book fans and industry insiders are aware of this legal battle, most general audiences aren't paying attention to behind-the-scenes litigation. Warner Brothers may decide that a settlement, even a costly one, is preferable to a prolonged legal fight that could create negative headlines leading up to the movie's debut. While this lawsuit is serious, it's unlikely to derail the film entirely. Warner Brothers has deep pockets and an army of lawyers ready to fight the case, and historically, the studio has been able to navigate similar challenges successfully. However, resolving it won't happen overnight. Even if a settlement is reached, negotiations could drag on for months, with both sides fighting for a bigger piece of the Superman profits. At the end of the day, the Siegel and Shuster estates are well within their rights to pursue legal action. They're not trying to block Superman movies from being made. They just want to ensure that their families receive what they believe they are owed. This is just another chapter in the long history of creators. The sad reality of the comic book industry is that many legendary creators never saw a fraction of the wealth generated by the characters they created. The reason? Their contracts with Marvel and DC were written in an era when nobody could have imagined these heroes dominating billion-dollar movie franchises. Most of them were paid meager wages and never received a cut of the massive profits from films, TV shows, or merchandise featuring their work. This has led to a tragic history where many comic book legends died in poverty while their creations made corporations. Burr was not as fortunate. Finger spent decades in obscurity before finally receiving credit for his contributions long after his passing. His story is one of many that highlight the injustice faced by countless creators in the industry. Fortunately, change has been happening. Creators like Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, and the Image Comics founders paved the way for artists and writers to own their work, ensuring they reap the financial benefits of their success. Today, independent creators have more opportunities than ever to break free from restrictive contracts and profit from their own intellectual properties.